down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Ducky, wucky, wuckies. It's early morning, and I'm in my mind, I'm with someone very unique and special. Why? Because I get to try out a new microphone. If you don't know my struggle, I have never confessed this, but I like to buy things, and I need to stop that disease. So at one time, I had a really expensive microphone. Then I went down to the knockoffs. Then I had some other system, and I'm trying out another microphone, and I had to have it shipped fast for this guy. And I've known this young man, this guy that I'm about to talk about, you're about to meet. His name is Lukas Zupa. He is 19 years old, and he not only that has the coolest name, but it's one letter after mine, XYZ. That's the last letter in the alphabet. So he always was last in line, always last in roll call. But he's the first in the top of my line of how I would want my child to think, how I would want my child to act, and his abilities are pretty amazing. I know this sounds like an overreach introduction, and it's not, because I have visited with this young man several times through text messages, through interactions, through the local real estate club meeting, and I've just always been enamored by him. I wish I was like him at 19 years old. The things that this young man knows already, well, I can't wait to see what he looks like at 22, 25, and especially at my age at 45. So that's our introduction to you, Mr. Lukas. Was that humbling?
Thank you very much, Stephen. I appreciate it.
It's all bullshit. I'm just playing. I'm just teasing.
The only thing that might have been is your disease about buying things. I think you're pretty well set buying your assets and such.
See? This guy, I should have gave you a personality profile, because I don't even know your personality. Like, are you anal detailed? I'm assuming you have some detail in you.
Yeah, I think sometimes a little too much for my taste, because I
I
tend to be more of a procrastinator on analyzing than
you know how to solve that? Create more pain. I've learned that lately. Like I'm in a weight loss challenge with some friends, and it's like, if I don't lose weight by this day, I have to pay them $500. So I have to create more pain. And so I was actually talking to a friend on my way over here to the studio, and I was like, I'm working on buying a new truck, and I'm like, I didn't do well on the RV business. That's not doing well. And I was like, I should discipline myself and not get a new vehicle because I suffered on another transaction that didn't do well. But enough of me. Let's talk about you. I'm just fascinated that you're anti-college. Would you say anti-college?
I think college, I was talking to someone the other day. She wants to be a surgical nurse, and she wanted to be a surgeon.
Good luck.
So in that area, I would say go do your 14 years, because when I'm under the knife, I want you to have that knowledge. But as far as going to college for the sake of setting yourself up in the economy and setting yourself up for a happy financial life, I don't think that there's enough education about it. So
how do you, let's rewind. Where'd you come from? I know you came from a womb somewhere.
Yes.
So from some female.
Thank you.
AKA your mom. But brothers, sisters, where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
Yeah.
Let's start there.
So actually I'm from Vegas. I grew up in a casino, playing slots. No, I'm just kidding.
Cool.
I've got two brothers. My older brother and I grew up in Vegas together, and my little brother was pretty little. We moved when...
how old were you?
I'm 19, so we moved from Vegas to here when I was, I think I just turned 9.
I know how old you are, silly. Mm-hmm. When you came to Oklahoma, how old?
I was 9.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've actually been here the majority of my life. I consider myself. So I consider Oklahoma my home.
So you can coherent. You can remember, what Vegas was like.
Sure. Yeah.
Strip clubs everywhere.
Oh yeah. Here's the thing. The locals don't go to the strip.
I love getting off a plane and I'm getting handed magazines of naked women.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, this is ridiculous. No wonder we have a struggle with that society. So you lived there for nine years. Why Oklahoma? Why'd your parents?
So my parents moved here right as '08 and '09 was happening. And we were living, now it's funny. I get to, because I understand more, I get to look back and realize what was happening. But at the time, I didn't know this, but the landlord of our building, we were in an apartment complex, had apparently collected several months' worth of rent and skipped to Brazil during all that. And so his building was getting
Foreclosed on?
Exactly. And I just remember that my mother came in after getting a note on the door suddenly, and she was like, "What is happening?" Because we were paying on, I mean, everybody, the whole thing was,
wow,
everything. So, I mean, now I kind of understand a little bit more.
And you were 9 years old and you saw this happen.
Right.
And so your mom, were your parents together, divorced, or was just your mom? Okay.
Yep.
So your parents are together and you're paying rent on time. And the next thing you know, you're getting evicted. And
right.
What was their behavior like? Were they frustrated, pissed off?
No, it was just kind of a surprise. There's a lot of details that I don't remember. I do remember that it was a cash for keys thing because there was so much damage going on in other places and other units over that whole situation because there was a lot of people that were mad.
Oh, man.
So they actually paid my mother and father enough to basically move here where my uncle lives and my brother, his brother, my father came here to move and work with him.
Okay, so what were your parents doing? What was their industry, their job, or?
Yeah, my mother is and has always been a stay-at-home mother. She's still teaching my little brother, so it's three of us. She would
so you were
always
homeschooled?
joke. Yes,
we so were homeschooled. Okay.
Yeah, so she decided when they got married and they had my older brother and they started having children that neither of them had very pleasant childhoods. She wanted to be able to stick around with us. She wanted to be with us and teach us. Yeah, so they decided they could either both work and it'd probably be a little better off with what they were doing, and neither of them would spend time with us, or he would work and she would stay with us and teach us. So she had studied, she's from Germany. She's actually German. So people say she has an accent. I never hear it because I've been with it my whole life. But
no, what about your dad? What did he do?
so he was an independent web developer for a long time. I know he did a bunch of odd things. He definitely worked at some of the casinos, hotels. He did a couple other. He's done a lot. He was a caddy for a while.
Cool.
He was just making it work.
So was he an entrepreneur, or was he just trying to find work to provide?
Oh yeah,
for the
absolutely.
children?
In fact, he has definitely been one of my biggest inspirations. He's definitely a visionary type guy, and he's always been like that. It's his drive, and there's been a lot of situations where it's been hard for him. Now I can look back and realize that, but that's always been his tendency. But he always very much a family first person. So he would, I know he's sacrificed out of wanting to make sure that my mother's taken care of and we're taken care of. But he was an independent web developer. He ran his own business for almost 20 years.
Dude, it's just nutty that how old's your older brother?
He's 21. He just turned 21.
So 2 years, and then you have a younger one who's really, I enjoy hanging out with that guy.
Samuel's awesome.
And his name, what's his name?
Samuel.
Yeah, he's pretty intense too.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah.
So 3 kids, web developer, and the next thing you know, you're in essence, you're getting evicted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like technically,
Yeah.
even though it's not their fault,
Right.
your fault. I mean, that's just sad in society. And then why Oklahoma? Because you have some family here. You had mentioned an uncle.
So his brother was here, and
Oklahoma.
yeah. I remember it was
It's like cool, sexy Las Vegas. Then it's like Oklahoma.
right. So my parents loved the desert, but I remember them sitting us down, and they were kind of talking with us about it. So my brother is like 10. I'm 8, just about to turn 9, and my little brother is 4. right? So we're having this conversation around the table, and they're asking us what we, might want to do as well, which I thought, thinking back, is kind of neat. They were thinking, hey, we might be able to, because in Vegas, we'd be in the pool all the time, but if we're in apartment complexes or these condo places, just walking around and just playing outside and stuff in certain parts, it's just not what you do.
Hot.
Right. So
you can't go
out.
out.
But also there's just some parts of the town where it's just like you just don't. And
right.
she wanted us to be able to be outside in the grass. In the parks.
I can't wait
play,
to meet your mom. I mean, she's
fantastic.
Absolutely sacrificed. A lot of people don't know the old school mentality of all things for their children. My mom worked 3 jobs just to sustain. She was a single mom. All right, so let's fast forward. Oklahoma. Like, how did you get in my circle? That would so. And then we'll get into college. And
right.
Is your brother in college at all?
Yes.
Oh,
he's going to OU right now.
Okay, great. Can't wait to have a comparison there. So,
yeah.
How'd you get into the real estate circle? How did we even meet? That'd be the first thing.
Probably at the RIA.
So why would you go to a real estate investment club meeting? And you must have been 18 because I've known you for a while.
Yeah. So it was one of those traveling real estate shows.
Somebody was speaking.
Yes.
A guru.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well,
that's what made you came?
What actually happened is I've always been kind of entrepreneurial. I've always had those tendencies. I've always been like that. I always loved creating. I was always tinkering in my garage and trying to invent stuff, man. Dude, I invented this little pickle fork deal because I was tired of spearing my fork in the pickle jar 80 times, and by the time it came out, it's kind of like, looks like it came out the wrong side of a war.
Motivation there.
Right. So I was just doing little things like that. And I loved Shark Tank. I'm 12, I'm 13, I'm 14. I'm like analyzing these guys. I'm sitting there like just basic
valuations of businesses.
Dude, I'm just booing people that like, no, it just sometimes, they'd come in and they'd be like, no, I don't want to give it up. They'd walk in, they'd ask for something. Maybe it was really good. And the shark would be like, okay, I believe in it. I'll do it. Exactly what you want. And they're like, wait, let's negotiate a little more. And I'm like, dude, he just gave you what you wanted, or they'd be so in love with the one product, that one idea that they wouldn't want to sell. I'd be like, dude, give me that 10 million.
Let me give you one answer.
I'll go why? Do something else.
Do you know why? Do you know why they act that way?
Why?
Think about it. Fear. Mm-hmm. See, a real entrepreneur has no fear because I can make another product.
Right. They don't. It's not their one idea.
I can make another pickle fork.
Exactly.
If someone stole my pickle fork, believe me, I come up with a sexy pickle fork. Dude,
you're always going to be doing something.
Like, Long John pickle fork. It would be better and sexier.
Right.
But that's just fear. People are driven by fear, and it seems like you're not driven by fear.
I try not to be, no.
Like, you're 18 years old, you come into a real estate club meeting. Why? And you said there's a speaker. Tell me more about that. How'd you get invited? Walk me through the process, because I'm just fascinated that you're only 19 and you're ahead of probably majority of society.
Well, I was curious. Right at that time, there were a bunch of financial shifts happening with my family, and I was like, man, I can do something.
So you were seeking.
Yes. Okay. I saw an ad. I think it was just a website banner ad. Something about Damon John. I love Damon John. I read his book.
Oh my gosh. I know what episode you're coming to.
One of my favorites. So he, that was probably 2 years ago, I think. It was a Damon John partnered with some other dude, and they were doing a conference in OKC. And I went to the free like 2 week before.
Yeah.
They spoke for a couple hours. And
was Damon there?
No, Damon wasn't there.
Of course not.
Of course not. It was just his name. But that was his
name.
So
you got wrangled in.
It was his name. I was like, dude, it's Damon John. I don't know anything about it, but I love Damon John, and I want to learn. And I went. So cool. His dude was talking, and their pitch, right, was more for people with established businesses, which I didn't have. So I was like,
was it intriguing? Were you motivated?
It was, because they had this other speaker that spoke for about 30 minutes about real estate. And
do you remember him?
Oh yeah, I don't remember what his name was. He was just one of the little pawns. But he talked about, kind of basic gist of like wholesaling and stuff like that. I was like, what?
You can do this.
Yeah. I mean, it blew my mind.
He didn't know anyone in our circle.
No.
This is so cool. So
he was saying $120,000 a year, and I was like, what? Like that was, that was a lot of money to me.
Need money.
And it's just how I said, oh yeah, you could easily do X, Y, Z. I was like, what? No, yes,
cool.
Give me that. I want to.
Love the
what is that?
introduction.
Because it was something that I was like, I don't have a business already, but I have plenty of time, and I love to learn, and I credit that to my mother, because she did a really amazing job of teaching my brothers and I how to learn, and not necessarily things.
Well
it's
said.
like,
I wish she could hear this. Well, so hopefully, how to learn than what to learn.
right.
I think is the most critical thing. If we would just teach that as a society, I know
Yeah.
we're about to get off a freaking rabbit, but
It's all
I
good.
mean, because I have little babies. I have a 9 and a 7, and and it's like we emphasize what to learn, but not how to
Yeah.
learn. And I could tell that it's a disconnect between my son because he's not motivated to read, where my oldest loves to read.
Yeah.
And so they just haven't been taught
Yeah.
how or
Right.
the reasoning behind. Okay.
Yeah.
So you get jazzed up at this deal.
Yeah.
You get the bug of, wow, I could be something economically through real estate. So then what happened?
Oh, and they were good, because it was, I think it was like $2,000, a couple $1,000 for the next session, the next deal.
Did you pay for
the
it?
3-day deal? Yes, I did.
You did? All right.
I mean, they
So
created,
you're like a
they
broke
created
17-year-old. How old
oh,
are
yeah.
you?
It was pretty much all I had.
Well, you're
I was
18,
17
17?
at the time. Yeah.
They legally took your money?
Yep. I made it work.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So you bought their
It was the next deal. It was like, in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing the 3-day
boot camp.
Right. And
And it
I was
was
like,
2 Gs.
they created the urgency, and I was like, dude, I need to do this. And I was like, I don't know.
Anybody else with you?
Nope. It was just me.
So you went to this thing by yourself at 17 years old?
Yes.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
No wonder I like you.
It's pretty driven.
Dude, I need Lucas. I need more Lucas in my life. I mean, I know it's all humbling to you, or you don't put the dots together, but I will. You will. You are way ahead of society.
People have said
I mean,
that in these circles.
$2,000.
Yeah.
That's everything to you at that point in
It
time, and
was.
you're willing to sacrifice for something that you didn't even know at that time. Well, let's get into the course. Was
Yeah.
it worth it?
Well, I went to the 3-day deal, and actually at the time,
And you were like studious. You were like, I'm amped the F up. I'm going to get
Right.
this done. I'm going to get my money's
it
worth.
was very exciting, and I wanted to bring my father with me at the time. Like I said, we were kind of doing some
financial
situation stuff, and he was just trying
in between jobs or something.
Exactly. And I was like, dude, you're the reason I even like this. Like, let's go do this together.
And was he not motivated?
No, he came with me those 3 days, and
You're real dad, right?
yeah.
Cool. And what was what was it like hanging out with him?
He was excited. I think I didn't realize. I think at the time, maybe 10, 20 years earlier, he tried to kind of like get into real estate with something else, and I don't know if it was one of those guru type people or whatever, but I didn't realize that he'd already kind of like been, so I'm not really sure what he thought of it, but I was like, let's go for it. Let's build this together and learn it together. And let's just let's do this. At the time, I was at Francis Tuttle. I was doing culinary arts, just because I wanted to.
Did you have a degree? I mean, a degree. Did you have your diploma by now? Or did
For
schooling?
for
Did
school? I mean, I do now. I finished it.
Did you get a GED?
I have a certificate from Francis Tuttle for their culinary arts program. So
No, but like, do you have a regular high school
Oh
diploma?
yeah. No, I graduated. I was all set to go to OCU.
Okay.
yeah.
So your mom taught you high school, and you got a homeschool diploma. I guess I don't know how this works.
Well, okay. So we were homeschooled up until I think it was the start of high school, or maybe 8th grade. She had asked us. She was like, "Well, do you want to go to a real school for high school?" And I was like, "No, no, I don't," because everyone thinks.
Well, you're socially normal.
Everyone thinks homeschool. Yeah, and
like,
there's so many.
you're not like weird.
No. Everyone thinks homeschool people are like, awkward and like, oh, how do you socialize? And I'm just like, I probably have more,
That's awesome.
because
I'm just
she would I mean, it's a legitimate thing, but she would always say that we would be able to socialize more up and down and not just sideways to our peers, right? We would talk with smaller
Connect,
people.
network,
We'd
develop.
We'd learn to conversate with, adults and other parents and stuff like that. We'd go to co-ops and we were in band.
So you didn't go to high school. So you
We
stayed-
did after, kind of. It was an online charter school that was just starting. It's called Epic Charter Schools.
Yeah. I've heard of it.
Right, and it's really good. We thought about K-12.
Was
but
it easy for you?
You know, it kind of was because when my older brother started, I think he turned 6, like just barely after the cutoff date or something like that when we were in Vegas for when school started. So my mother decided to just let him start at 7. We were basically 2 years apart, so I was 5, and I was like, "What's this school thing you're doing? You know, I want to do it with you." I don't know. So I started when I was 5, and we were in the same grade.
The 7th.
So it was really difficult for me when we first started, and it was really easy for him. So we kind of, I had to work at it. She's like, "That's fine with me as long as you can keep up."
Cool.
So I had to really work hard the first couple of years.
Have you ever taken an IQ test?
No.
I don't know. We might have a genius. All right. So this is great. All right. Let's get on to this. So you go to this real estate seminar with your dad, which now your dad's cool in my mind because most dads are, I was listening to an audiobook this morning and it said that, a dad would come home and he would say, "I'm tired." Mm-hmm. And then the generational later, everyone that comes home to their child, they say, "I'm tired because I work hard." And that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, no.
So your dad went about, he just went beyond himself, something that he didn't do to support you. And he was alongside of you. Was it worth the 2 G's at 3 days? Did you learn? What'd you learn?
So by the end of it all, I learned just enough to
not do
completely fry my mind. No. I was all excited about it. I think by the time it was all said and done, I think I'd scraped together about $5,000 total. And the final price tag was, I don't know, like $60,000 or something. It was
so you were in that lead generational funnel where they got you in for free.
Sure.
They got you in the 2 G's.
They get
but
you
then
in a little
3
more.
days, was it legit?
Oh yeah, it was.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Let's talk about the 3 days. The $2,000 that you spent, was it worth it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. But then you got even more juicy, and you were getting upsold to the 60.
Right. And
you were going to consider it?
Oh yeah, if I had the money, I'm so glad I didn't have the money,
homie. I'll teach you,
dude. I'm so glad I didn't have the money because I would have done it. It was like, all right, we're gonna teach you this, we're gonna teach you this, and
I can teach
you
you all
got a
that.
summit in Vegas, and I mean, it was all this stuff. Now the guy who was speaking, thinking back, he legitimately knew what he was talking about. He was really cool, dude.
Most of them do.
But he was a sales guy. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not discounting. I mean, I sell books and courses myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's not worth it. But a lot of people just pay the 60 G's and think that they're going to be a millionaire tomorrow.
Right.
That's the concern.
No.
And a lot of these people, gurus, pry on that. They have an algorithm that's figured out. Like if we sell 1,000 of these, 6 million. Maybe only 1% actually are Lucases out there. That really want to learn, that really want to apply it. And I do admire your tenacity. So was it a crossroads? And what were you talking about? You scraped together 5 G's. What was that for? What were you talking about?
Well, that was all inclusive. So I think it was 2,000 or 3,000 for the actual event, and then they were selling like this, I don't know, like a little software deal or a little upgrade to their next whatever. That was all I had. Like I didn't have any more money.
So you actually laid down another 5?
No, it was about 5 total between the cost of the attending and a couple of the little extra deals. Yeah, I was there. That was the 3 days. And they were right. And it was essentially like, okay, in order to continue to anything substantial, you need like 10 or something like that. It was just like, I don't have it. So I spent 2 weeks for the next deal because it was like a free deal to hook people up. And then the 3-day event was the to their next deal, which is going to be like the legit
whatever. That was
whatever.
roughly, you said 2,000 of initial plus 3,000 with add-ons.
Right.
So a total of 5,000 on your second
just about
opportunity to learn real estate.
Right.
And so you were kind of in the middle of that, and you scraped that together?
Yeah. And I couldn't get anything else. I tried to get other stuff. Dude, it was funny. I remember I was taking what I learned, and it melted me for that weekend. I was supposed to be at a competition that weekend for my school, and I canceled, and I was like, done.
So this
I couldn't
drive,
think.
what's this drive from? Is it wealth? Is it success? Is it opportunity? Tell me what, I mean, you were willing to cancel your schooling, which you seem like a studious individual. Why, what is the burning desire to be? Is it wealthy? Is it to own houses? Tell me.
I would say wealth now, but I don't mean wealth like exclusive to money. I think wealth is
freedom.
Yeah, it's a lot of things.
Lifestyle.
Exactly. And it's
but you're
to
so
me,
young. How would you know this? Most people just are brainwashed.
I like to surround myself with people like you. I've always been about trying to make someone else's floor, someone else's ceiling my floor. You know, I like to surround.
Good
and
analogy.
That's another thing that I appreciate about my mother, because it's the same. It comes from that too. It's like, okay, I want to learn, and I want to learn smart, and I want to grow. I want to take these opportunities. I want to learn what that guy went through, so that I don't have to, so that I can do the next thing. You know.
The great thing is that my introduction wasn't fallacy. I cannot wait to follow you. You know, I follow all the people that I interview. I definitely check in on them and stalk them every once in a while just to see if they really are doing what they say they do.
Yeah.
So what? So you had to get out of this deal because you ran out of cash,
right? So I mean,
was
I was
best
calling
taste in your mouth. I mean,
I was calling like Craigslist. You know, I was calling other wholesalers. I
so
realized
you were trying to
I was
generate
trying to put it
revenue
together.
to continue on this education.
I was trying to fake like I already knew everything in those 3 days, and I didn't remember most of it, because for a lot of it they were saying, don't take notes, just pay attention right here, we just want you to, you know, whatever. So I didn't have very many notes, and it was so much information in 3 days. I was like, I couldn't retain it all, you know. So I was trying to call these people, and I realized now they were other wholesalers, which is
doing the same thing,
because I didn't know what I was talking about. But I mean, I couldn't put it together, and I was like, well, I'm just going to try to do it myself. So I just kept calling people, and I talked to a couple people during those 3 days. They'd kind of talked a little bit about shopping local community banks as opposed to bigger banks. So I went to First Liberty and talked to Frank Craig.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah. And I mean, everybody knows Frank Craig, and I think he's gone now. I think it's Noah, right? Over there.
He moved to Missouri.
Yeah. But I mean, he was the second person that day, which was a Thursday of the MP night, that said, hey, you should go check out this MP deal. And I was like, well, I'm not going to wait another month.
Banks to build relationships.
I went there in person. I was like,
so you're
tell me
gangster. I can't wait to meet your parents. I'm going to have them over. So you are driven like an animal that just was on fire, popping banks, building.
I didn't have any choice at this point. I was like, I already put all my money into it.
You're broke. You're broke.
Yes.
And you meet this one guy, a banker, and then now he introduces you to the local real estate club meeting.
Yeah, he was the second person who mentioned it to me. The first guy that day was someone else on the phone, who he could tell I didn't know what I was talking about. He's like, dude, you should just go to this thing. This is where all the investors like meet. This is, you know, it's the real deal. Not his words, but that's basically what they said. And after the second guy mentioned it, I was like, man, I don't want to wait another month.
Do you remember what that do you remember what that subject was when you went?
Yeah, it was James Prather. He was talking about public adjusting.
Cool.
Which totally went over a lot of it went over my head.
There.
And then some of it was, it was just, again, I was like, what? What are you talking about?
So basically
just
what's happening is,
oh my God.
It was like opening a book for the first time, or like Harry Potter.
Dude, it was
or
5
something.
p.m. or it was almost 5 that night. And when does the meeting start? 6:30 or whatever. So I was like, I need to go. I told my mother, and she arranged for me to be dropped off.
Because you
dude,
had no ride.
Yeah, I think we only had one car at the time.
Spent all your money on education and real estate with no car.
Right, yeah.
And then you're hustling your way to the bank. It's like, I mean, when you say it just sounds crazy. I cannot wait to see you in a couple of years. So you start going.
Dude, I showed up. I was so intimidated. There were so many people in that room just talking, and it was loud. And I don't know, maybe it was just nerves because I didn't understand really anything about what I was trying to learn about. But I walked in.
You're still developing as a young man.
Right. And I walk in, and I'm pretty sure the first person to greet me, because, it's free at the door the first time. I was like, well, at least I don't, have to pay $25. Right. Okay. 20 is worth it. Is worth it now.
No, I think that way every time I walk in there. Is this worth $20?
Yeah.
Yeah. You should.
It is for the people.
You should think that way.
It's for the people.
All right.
But I mean, the first guy to greet me, his name's D'Angelo, and he walks in, he says hello and welcomes me. And he's like, hey, you need to come here. You need to talk to this guy. You need to talk. I was just like, I was just
that's
like,
awesome. You were 18 or 19?
I think I had just turned 18. Cool. My birthday's in June, so it was right around that time. I was either just barely still 17 or I just turned 18. So
cool.
But I walked in, I listened to it, and I just talked to people, and There was the after party at Joey's that Ron does. And man, it blew my mind. Like, I didn't realize the kinds of subconscious, like, things that I thought about rich people. Does that sound weird?
I wonder what
I
you
don't
thought
think
of
it
me
does.
when you met me. How'd you meet me?
I'm trying to remember this.
Was I an arrogant guy when you met me?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't remember if it was the first. You were at that meeting where there were so many people.
No, it's okay. I don't care. So you were talking about rich people, like they were like, I want to get that stigmatism out.
Right.
Rich people are freaking cool.
Yeah.
They're all nice. They're willing to help you.
I mean, the thing is, I never thought specifically or consciously like, oh, rich people are greedy or whatever. But just growing up in just middle class, you're just surrounded by that.
Or I
still had those subconscious, and I didn't realize till afterward. I was like, why am I so shocked? Like, Robert Elder is like so cool. He's up there like talking about all this stuff for free that those guys were a couple days, a couple weeks ago. It was all the same. Not the same, but they're so open and so giving and generous.
You know what's so easy? I think that just showing up to a real estate club meeting could change your world, and people don't. I'm too tired. I'm too busy. It's $20.
I literally thought everybody in that room was like a millionaire. I was like, oh my God, these guys have been
fascinated. I would say at least 30%.
A lot of them are,
and they will never tell you.
Right. And I was like, dude, I've never been. I was just like,
that's awesome.
I was totally melted.
So you got this bug.
Yeah.
Have you done any transactions in real estate?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of wholesaling. I've done mostly deals with other people, but I've done, I think, 2 solo deals now. So
did you start wholesaling? Like, what? How'd you get to that point? You started.
Well, I went to the after party at Joey's because I was like, I'm already here. I'm gonna do the full deal. That was the first night, and I think maybe the only time Robert and Linda went to Joey's as well. So I had Robert and Linda there, and it was Ron, and Roger was there. And several people just talking had told me to go talk to Roger because I don't remember. I must have been saying something like, oh, I'm new and I don't really know what I'm talking about. And they're like, oh, Roger knows everybody, right? Roger knows everybody. And so I went to Roger, the connector, right, who knows everybody in the circle. And I was trying to kind of listen and sit next to all those people. And I was still super intimidated. I was like, wow, these guys are like, why would they care about me?
No one knows this, but this is all that's going on in your mind, your intimidation.
Oh, yeah.
I
didn't know what to expect. I thought all these guys were like baller, like.
That's so cool.
Like, why would they pay mine?
What a great introduction. What a great introduction to real estate investing.
Yeah. He said, let's do coffee.
That was
Roger.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. Toward the end, it was kind of, I didn't really talk to him, but he was like, hey, I'll be happy to,
to a guide you, help you.
Right.
Okay.
He'd mentioned, because I think I might have mentioned what I'd done before, the price. Or he's like, dude, I'll teach you that for free. And he did. It was a couple months. We met. He was like, you have to do the disc profile before we meet. And that's it. Like, you do it, send me the results. And I don't even remember what the results are. That was so long ago. But
that's so cool.
That's what he wanted. And so we met and we just kind of started hanging out. And I kept going.
Kept meeting with him as often as you could, right? As often as he was willing to meet you.
Right.
Or anyone at this point.
Right. Which in the beginning was, we met Monday mornings. We met Wednesday morning. I mean, we met multiple times during the week because he was always or usually available, 7 a.m., 6:30 a.m., whatever, at his office away from the office. He always goes to Panera.
Cool. So that's how you kind of got that. And so you started doing deals. He started guiding you through that.
Right.
And he's a great wholesaler as well.
Yeah.
And then you're learning that deal. Okay. So now fast forward and then we'll get into what you're doing now for income. Mm-hmm. So sounds like a great move. Let's talk about your goals real quickly here. What does it look like for you? What do you want to do in this space that you're in right now? Like in real estate as an investor?
Yeah. Well, as an investor and learning what I've learned now, I probably would have stumbled upon it just because I was kind of business minded, but it's such a critical like a pillar,
Yeah. It's awesome, man. I'm telling you, I would document this. I mean, I know we're recording this, and
right.
I mean, I definitely think, and you mentioned earlier about writing a book. I think that this is a wonderful story that from homeschool to stumbling until the proper and there's a lot of details I think that need to be like your self-doubt. I mean, I don't know if you have that problem, but I think we all do. I do.
Sure.
To awkwardness of, okay, I'll meet with you.
Yeah.
What can I offer to you exchange for your time?
Yeah.
There's got to be like a self-esteem issue there. How could I help him? And I feel unworthy to be served
right.
for something that I can't never contribute back because he's already doing 44 deals, and how could I help him?
Yeah.
So through this process, what do you see yourself? What do you want to be doing? Do you want to be a real estate investor, buy and hold? Do you want to be the superstar and wholesaler? Tell me what out of this, from here, and then we'll go into what you're doing now.
From what I've learned, and I haven't done any flips or anything like that, but I've definitely learned that I have an affinity for wholesaling and buying. Like, I want assets. I want to build long-term wealth.
You need to. I don't. I'm going to start guiding you from here. Yes.
Right.
Buy houses. Buy assets.
Yeah. I'm interested in property. I'm interested in apartments.
Is there a number that you want to? I mean, you want to move out of the house? I mean, you're still at home with your parents.
Always increasing.
Yeah, but I mean, is there a specific number? Do you see yourself owning X amount of houses in a certain length of time? Come on, man. Let's be real specific here. You got to have specifics. I know that you are a goal-oriented individual, or you're a very driven psycho person.
So my
I mean, seriously, you got to have something inside of you.
Sure.
Like, what does it look like when I'm 25? I'm going to be on a yacht somewhere. I mean,
Yeah.
what?
Well,
we got to shoot for something.
I definitely work towards enough passive income to take care of my family and or my future family, and I want that to be an always given. And it's like,
you want to return what your parents have sacrificed for you.
Sure, I want to take care of them, and I know it's possible. And
I've seen the truth.
Yeah, and it's funny, that $120,000 doesn't seem like so much to me anymore. It's crazy how much.
Oh yeah, numbers.
Your perspective shifts. I'm like, I want a business that's like 120 G's every month, not, I don't know. It just changes my perspective.
With your dad has some computer skill, internet skill. I mean, you guys could have a great collaboration.
Yeah.
I'm working on a software right now, relative to real estate. All right. So you need to work on your goals more. You need to articulate them more.
Yeah.
Because you're just shooting around.
Oh, you're talking about
goals
specific real estate.
Damn right.
Okay.
You're on the Savvy Radio Show, homie. There's no purpose in life than just drifting, right? Because if you're following your goals or you're following someone else's goal, the cool thing is that you're not an employee or somebody, so you're not following someone else's goal.
Yeah.
But you don't want to drift. I mean, obviously, at 19 years old, you're pretty on top of stuff. Yeah. Most people at your age are playing video games, thinking about some chick and going nowhere. And then they wake up like I did at 27. I'm like, wow, what am I going to do with my life? So you are blessed. I can tell you that right now, of just your mindset. And it's a book that I'm reading right now. It's just, it supersedes all things. So you're on point, but just one suggestion would be, listen, have some real tangible goals that you can attain right now. By 20 years old, like I know when I'm 45, I had this specific goal. It was lofty. I'm hedging on it. I think I probably could hit that goal by the time I'm 46. 10 million in assets. So it just depends on, what but you got to have a number. You got to have an opportunity to chase. Yeah. And so let's get into, I remember getting a phone call, and now I'm going to tell you my side. And then I would love to hear where you're at now. Sure. Through the grapevine, and, I don't want to say any names, that you were looking for a loan. Okay. And so, of course, my ears picked up. Yeah. I'm like, I would like to, of course, I do enjoy helping people get started. I think that's a great gift that I'm allowed to experience from people, is I can loan them, a certain seed money for a business. Yeah. Or their first property, or, and of course I can capitalize on desperation as well. So there's extremes with me. Like, I like the nice little,
do both.
Here you go. And also the gangster distressed property you're going on. Yeah, I'll take that for pennies on the dollar. Yeah. So, but I overheard that you were trying to start a business and you were looking for a loan. And tell me what was going on there, and what made you decide this new business, and get it all out right now. And I don't want to talk about it. I want you to talk about it.
Sure. So the reality is that I was still trying to do the wholesaling with
Survival.
We are right, exactly. It was exactly that. It's month to month. Things are still crazy. I quit working at a fast food place because I was like, I gotta do this.
What fast food place?
It was Cane's. It was Raising Cane's. Which actually was probably one of the better ones I could
like
have.
a dirty chicken ball. Because I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken when I was your age.
Okay.
When I was around 16, I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Nice. Cane's is better, but
well, of course. But Cane's wasn't in existence in New Jersey.
yeah.
Where was I?
It might now.
No, I was in California when I worked.
Dude,
there.
they've grown a lot.
Anyway, so you worked at fast food, going nowhere, making what, $8 an hour, $7 an hour?
Yeah.
What was minimum wage?
Dude, my first deal would have taken me, I think it calculated it out. It wasn't even that huge of a deal. It was like $3,000 or something, right, from my wholesale deal. It would have taken me months to make that. It was
almost a year.
It was $9 an hour.
Oh,
well, it would have if I was
$9?
working full time. If I was working full time, I was working like 25, 30 hours a week because I was still going to school.
Back? What were you?
I was in the back, dude. I was cooking, man.
Oh, you were smell like a fry ball.
Yeah.
All right.
I did everything at the end.
So you had a part-time job, going to school,
Sure.
and then you had this idea. What was this idea? Tell me about it and how. And it's real estate related. I don't want to get the cat out of the bag. I want you to express it.
Mm-hmm. So I saw this technology, and it's 3D photography.
3D photography. What is that?
Yeah. So it's pretty fantastic. I just saw it and immediately loved it. We basically take a fancy camera and place it in a space, and it captures everything around it in a really high quality panoramic.
Like a modeling,
basically.
like a CAD.
Right.
And the only reason why I know because I hired you.
Yeah, and it's image, right? It's an image. It captures it as a 3D, but it also uses an infrared laser to capture kind of like 3D, like depth of data, essentially, to make it more realistic. Measurements as well.
Like how long
yeah,
a wall is.
It can measure it as well, everything around it. And it scans around this one location, and then we move it to another location.
And then you just move it around.
And we move it around, and we capture it kind of. The whole idea is to put somebody in that space from their phone, from their...
Virtually,
exactly.
So how'd you find this software? Where'd you see this at?
There was another...
Or product?
No, yeah. There was another guy in the city that had a camera and was doing it, and I had him use it on a deal that we were trying to move in
on
Norman.
A wholesale deal?
Yeah. It was
so
pretty...
you're pretty savvy. That was your idea. So did you see this online or did you Google it up? How'd you find out about this? Because this.
I looked it up afterward.
No, but how'd you hear about the 3D? You just saw it somewhere?
Yeah, that was that guy.
Was he advertising?
No, we talked about it, and then I had him come out and do that deal because that deal was pretty skinny for anyone here. My idea was to talk to somebody in California or something like that, try to find an out-of-state buyer because it would have been a really good deal for that.
So basically, this is how it happened. You have a deal that you're trying to wholesale in Norman, and their marketing pictures or whatever you're doing wasn't working. So you were trying to think outside the box, and you came across a 3D camera opportunity or process or a marketing thing. You called the guy, you hired the guy, he comes over there.
He wanted to start a business doing that, and I was like, I wanted to help him.
Okay, so you were intrigued about this.
Oh, I was intrigued. Dude,
you saw the opportunity.
I wanted to do it so badly. I was like, dude, let's blow it up.
So you were trying to partner with someone you didn't know.
Yeah.
So you met this dude random.
Yeah, he's actually, I'd worked with him a little bit before, and he was doing, and he got the camera, and he wanted to start doing that.
So
I was just fascinated.
Now, did you buy your own camera?
Yes.
So
credit cards.
So you try to work with this guy, and he wouldn't work with you? Was he none at the caliber of what you wanted or the relationship?
I think, and we never actually talked specifics, but I got, I did not want to be an employee. I wanted to be a partner,
or on your own,
or I wasn't thinking about doing it on my own until I really thought that a partnership wouldn't work. And I'm fine with that because I wanted to do it, either way. And I did. So I got my credit card and I bought a camera, which they're not cheap. It's not really super,
no, it doesn't matter. So you were trying to connect with this individual, and he wanted basically to be the owner, and you kind of work under him, and you were like, "That's cool, but that's not kind of what I want to do. I wanted a partnership of sorts."
I'm 100% or not, and that's usually just how I am.
Yeah,
so
we're
when
gonna
I go
partner
in,
somewhere.
I was like,
I already
"Dude,
like you.
I'm going to blow it up because I'm going to put all my attention in here, and I'm not going to do it for X amount per shoot. I want to expand."
Right.
You know, I want to do 100
it
of these.
worldwide,
I want to
baby.
do right. You know, I want to do
If we wanna go big,
1,000 of these every month. Not, you know, because it's phenomenal. And I tell this to people because this is what I believe we do is we increase the clients that we serve. We increase their income by increasing their number one asset, which I believe is time. And the coolest thing to me about this technology, as opposed to, and it's primarily used for marketing real estate. Like, you know, we work with realtors and residential properties, commercial. You can apply it with boutiques, and it syncs with Google Maps. And I mean, it's super versatile. But the gist is that it's a time saver in the marketing because it's so immersive. It answers a lot of questions.
Well, and it's high quality. It's not okay. So you decided to buy this thing. Did you have the money, or did you put all this on your credit card yourself?
Yes.
So you met with this guy, didn't go out. The relationship didn't spark the way you thought it would be.
Yeah.
No big deal. No disrespect.
Yeah.
So then you're like, I'm going to do this on my own. What came over you on that? What was the defining moment there? You're like, okay, I'm going to do this.
So the defining moment was, as much as I liked wholesaling, I still was learning. And I also didn't have marketing dollars, which it's not a super lot when you're wholesaling. People always say wholesaling's the way to start because you don't need any money. And you don't necessarily. I had a lot of time and energy, but it would have taken, 5-6 months to start get things going. And it's like, I need a paycheck tomorrow, So I saw this and that's how it started. I was like, dude, I love this opportunity because I see a huge value in it. And at the same time, I can go and grind tomorrow with my time that I have and get results right away.
Wow. Just the way you talk just inspires me at, 19 years old is where you're at right now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yes.
There's so many people that I work with, from staff members to partners, and they don't have that articulation of what it looks like to be a business owner or a partner or have a plan. So you just bucked up yourself, said, screw it, I'm going to throw in the towel again.
Yeah.
Because you threw in the towel before. You're like, I'm going to go in this real estate deal. I'm going to drop 5 G's.
Yeah.
And then you spent, you charged everything you could. Did you have to go outside of that credit card process?
Yeah, a little bit.
So you borrowed some money
some saved,
from a hard money person?
No, just from friends, little bits, enough. Most of it was on the credit card.
Okay.
And I just got the bare minimum that I needed so I could start learning it.
And then,
because I didn't know how to do it.
And then I was one of your customers.
Yeah.
I was one of your first ones.
Yes.
I said yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's this company name? And let's get you some business in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
What's your company? What's your company
we're,
name?
TrueView.
TrueView.
TrueView. TRU with no E. TrueView. And it's all one word.
Is that .com?
Yeah, it's TrueView.us.
Okay.
And we're most...
so
we're
TRUVIEW.us.
Yes.
And do you have a phone number?
Yeah.
Okay, what's that phone number?
It's 405-434-3597.
All right, say it again.
It's 405
slow
434-3597.
All right, another thing. Listen, I know there's somebody out there that has been inspired by Lukas, and I'm completely inspired. I wish I had more time, and I wish I was 19 again. But if you're listening to this and you have a son that's his age or a daughter, you should probably hook him up. But are you single? I'm about to get the matchmaker here. But what's your email? Because I think there could be a private investor out there that can see or actually hear your intensity. I would definitely partner with you all day. Because just your work ethic and where you came from.
I appreciate that.
What's your email address? And ladies and gentlemen, definitely reach out to this guy. I know he's only in Oklahoma City, but I know we have folks all over the country. If you need to be on a pulse of something, or you're going to see the future, I'm telling you, this guy is the future. What's an email that we can reach you?
So it's my name. Lukas is spelled with a K, so it's Lukas at trueview.us.
Okay.
Simple.
So Lukas, and they'll see that in the description. And so you've been doing this for a while now. I guess, I'm not sure, at least 6 months, right?
Yeah, about 6 months.
Because when I hired you, I was like, I just remodeled an apartment building.
Yeah.
And that was like in the beginning of the year. So
Yeah.
You're approaching almost a year now now you're an official business owner. What's that feel like as a 19-year-old owning your own business?
It's awesome, dude. It's great.
Is it financially rewarding yet? I mean,
yeah.
Are you out of debt?
Huh?
Are you still paying off your credit cards?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And the first couple months, I really just wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing.
Sure. That's why you did mine.
Yeah. I mean, I see nobody else in the state that's pushing this like how I want to. And I do want to. And
who's your customer? I mean, I know this could be for luxury homes.
So it can apply to a lot of things, but primarily it's realtors selling listings.
So if you're a realtor out there,
home sales.
Which realtors don't like me, so it's probably not the best show to be on. But I do have some good friends that are realtors. So this is a great tool for a realtor or even a savvy wholesaler that really wants to move a property. I saw a property that you guys did. You showed it at a deal makers thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which you did have the 3D.
Yeah.
And you have quantified data that it moves quicker because it's more visible.
So the biggest plus is when realtors market with like photography and stuff, and I absolutely think photography is critical. And it's always the first thing that people see online, and most people start online anyway. Yes. But
you're smart, man.
The biggest deal is time again, and the way that it works to that is that this thing is so, and I can't describe it. I usually have an iPad that I show people, but I mean, you've seen it obviously. Yeah. But it gives so much information, and it can present so well. It just answers questions that can only be answered when you're at the property. And that's the coolest thing for me. When you're taking a picture, you want it to look good. And usually the best way to do that with photography is in the corner of a room or, at the specified whatever. You're making it look amazing, but it's hard to get a feel for what it actually is. So you could look at 30, 40 pictures and you're like, I need to go there. So when you show up with your wife to go look at this property, you're like 2 minutes in, sorry, honey, the bedroom is in the wrong side or this, whatever. It doesn't matter. It might be a complete waste of an hour, a couple hours for that client or the person who's looking. And it could be a waste of time for that realtor. Okay. If they're doing that with 10, 20, I mean, you just add it up.
I don't want to cut you off because, I got some millennials that listen and we're at 55 minutes.
Wow.
So
already.
I know. Well, the couple things that come, real quick though.
Yeah.
A couple things that we're definitely going to follow you and your success. I think that you're one of the most successful people that I know. I know that I'm talking about in your age group. Yes, I hang out with people. And what is success? I think here's some quick success. Number one, you realize that college is not for you. We didn't even talk about that, which is you're going to have to come back if you don't mind.
For sure.
And talk about that. You already have a great head on your shoulders. Your parents are incredible. Sky's the limit. And so many people are just lost and wondering, what am I supposed to do with my life?
Yeah.
And let's get back and try to get you a sale here. And I know these prices will change, and I know that we're frozen in time when I release this podcast. Someone's going to hear this podcast 4 years from now. But just for today, 2019, what people can expect to pay for this, and let's talk about that real quick and end with that. And then I have a couple more questions. But
absolutely,
what's the cost? And do you have realist investor pricing? Is it by square footage? Tell us the cost.
Yeah. So for investors, for wholesalers, it's a little less because the process is different.
Not as long a time.
Right. Yeah. So it'll be 100 or 150 usually.
So you're telling me right now, so I can hold you to this because it's recorded.
Right.
So for $150, $100 to $150, you can come over there and knock out a deal, and you could potentially sell your house faster with better photography that's in a 3D thing that you host, that someone can actually basically walk through the property through virtually, which is the future anyway. VR is the future.
Absolutely.
So that's a smoking deal. And then someone that has like a $300,000 house and they're trying to sell it, and they're a traditional realtor. What would the fee cost for them?
So it depends on the size of the home, but generally we start at about $200, and it goes up.
How do you eat? That's not enough. I feel bad.
Right now I'm in what I like to think of as a critical feedback. I know what I'm doing with the
camera,
with the camera, and I'd like to think that I'm probably the best at it here in Oklahoma, but I really want feedback from people for like genuine, like, hey, this didn't work. Hey, I like this. This is what's going on. So I'm really just trying to serve more people. And so it might seem like a little less, and it's going to change. It'll go up a little bit because the value is 100% there. But if you're doing like a 1,500 square foot home, going up, it's definitely really beneficial on higher end homes. It's just so impressive.
No, I've done it. I'm glad that I'm a customer.
Yeah.
And if you want to really see it, message me. You can go to trueview.us, TRUVIEW.us, and see some examples. But if you want to see one of my actual properties, I've hired Lukas twice now. And I was just thinking in my mind, where else could I do this to speed this process up? In renting a property and AKA selling one as well. So, and to me, it's a double-edged sword. I get that imagery one time for a rental, and then it's I could use it to sell it. And a lot of people are like, wow, that's kind of expensive. If you have 100 units. In my mind, I always see the difference, the wheat versus the chaff, the weakness and the strong. When people complain and say, hey man, you hire landlord locks to do your locks, and aren't they expensive? They are about $10 more, but I factor that in when I do an acquisition. And Lukas, I'm gonna try to I should have did it with my Edmond house. I just flipped the deal up there. I should have just used you for there and just added it in into the cost. Okay, so enough of all that, man. I'm honored to have you here. I can't wait to follow you some more. I'm going to bring you back on the radio show relatively quickly, and we'll talk more about college and philosophy. There's someone out there, because I'm just fascinated that you know all this stuff at 19 years old. And I remember vividly when I was 27 looking in the mirror and going nowhere. And I'm like, how can you already have a plan? And I'm just fascinated by that. And I think that could help people like me that are raising children. How do I get them to the Lukas stage? But what goals would you say, or what would you, whatever comes on the top of your mind? I know this is not pre-canned. What advice would you give if you could to someone at your age? Or advice, or what would you have done differently? I know that's a two-edged kind of, could be one, or it could be separate.
So interesting you say that, because there's one thing that I keep thinking about is that 5 G's that I spent initially, which is totally useless, but not. Like, I don't regret it at all because it got me where I am now. It got me around the right people. To that, I would say, just don't be held back by what other peers think and say, because there's a lot of insecurity, especially around my age, about who am I, what am I doing, what does that girl think about me, what does that guy think about me, if I do this, I'll be weird because I'll be the out of the norm. Like, just go do it, and just do it, and don't be ashamed by it, and just try it, and surround yourself with better people.
Yeah, I think that we look at the circumstance that we lost this money. In reality, I can confess I've spent a lot of money in education. I remember my very first deal where I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but I rented out this space, and it was my only $1,200 that I had at the time, and I was at the 27-year-old age. Yeah. And I was doing a lot of clubs and raves, and I found a man like me and an investor. Yeah. And he's like, yes, I believe in you, VanCauwenbergh. We'll do a club together. So I was like, okay, I thought that was the green light. Yeah. So I went and rented a place out, and the investor came. He's like, no. And I just lost that $1,200, my only $1,200. I was broke. And I always look back at that, and someone very wise said, that was your college education. Right. And so
I've heard people say you're going to pay for your education one way or another. I'd rather.
And I mean, in 2018, I've spent 5 times what you just said on some apartment schooling
Yeah.
that was well worth it.
Yeah.
But I realized after I spent $25,000 in education
Yeah.
to learn how to syndicate deals and to be a sponsor for, $10 million acquisitions, I realized that's not where I want to be.
Yeah.
And and I don't think there's nothing wrong with
But
that.
I think it's worth it because maybe if you hadn't have done that, you'd try it,
Yeah.
and you'd spend
I didn't wanna
3-4
be a
years
job.
doing it. What if you spent 4 years
Because I
and then
wanted to-
realized it?
or because I wanted to pay back my 25.
Dude,
And-
25,000 is worth so much more to me than 4 years of my life
Yeah.
figuring something out.
And
you know?
and through that process, I actually met some people that I will get that 25 back in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So, and you will. You've already.
Successful people, wealthy
Yeah,
people.
you're-
If it's one thing
you
I've
own-
learned, time is valued most.
Yeah, and you own a business now. I mean, you'll look back on that and you'll just marvel of where you came from. And that what really speaks to me, and I hope this speaks to someone right now, is that you did it. That you took the leap of faith. That you have. I'm telling you, your parents got to be bomb. My
They
mom,
are.
will, because. I don't know. All your money, you're broke, and you work at the fast food place, and you're going to spend all your money, you're going to be broke, and you're going to do this thing, and you don't even have nothing tangible, and you did it. And that I think that supersedes all weaknesses, all strength, all insecurity. So that's what someone needed to hear today. You need to just go do it. Sign up for that class. Maybe it's Accounting 1 at the OSU OKC Tech School or Francis Tuttle. And learn how to be a chef or learn how to be a vegan cook, and I'll be your. You could test on me, and I would love it. I do. Let me throw
Sounds
that
good.
out there. I do have a dream to own a vegan restaurant out there, and so if you have a dream to own a restaurant, I have the investments to propel you. But that's it for today. Thanks for coming in, Lucas.
Thank
and
you,
can't wait
Stephen.
to have you back.
Investor Weekend is not far off, with over 10 information sessions to increase your portfolio. Log on to www.investorweekend.com. Whether you are a seasoned investor or never purchased a property before, you don't want to miss the Investor Weekend. Join us for a powerful, knowledge-packed weekend with over 10 informational sessions that are bound to enlarge your real estate investments. You will hear from the best national and local real estate investors that will share practical and relevant experiences with you, the investor. There will be several networking sessions to connect with other like-minded people for potential funding, partnerships, and yes, hot deals. Go to www.investorweekend.com. Did you know we meet once a month for the Landlord Lunch meeting? The third Wednesday of every month. Go to landlordlunch.com.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.